Hello everyone, it's Old Guardian here. With the big Battlegrounds patch out of the way, we can start to look forward to the next Hearthstone patch, which is going to be the X.4 patch. X.4 means the mini set for standard format, and it should also mean stuff for Mercenaries. We already know Arthas is coming to Mercenaries in the near future because Arthas was already in the game files. So, with all the miniset speculation being about the Naxxramas, there has been some art leak that seems to indicate that the miniset could be Naxxramas themed. Well, there's going to be maybe some Lich King oriented stuff also for Mercenaries. Mercenaries obviously already has the Lich King, and we're going to have Arthas. Whether Arthas is Arthas' stock or Lich King stock, we don't really know. But what else could we get for Mercenaries based on this information? In the last big Mercenaries patch we got basically Karazhan, although Karazhan was not a zone of its own, but the Karazhan bosses were divided between different bounties. I guess they ran out of time or something, but they could also work with Naxxramas pretty easily for Mercenaries, because Naxxramas, the Curse of Naxxramas adventure was already part of Hearthstone, and it actually featured all the bosses that were in World of Warcraft Naxxramas. Anub'aran, Ferelina, Mahexna, Noth, Hagan, Loatheb, Razuvius, Gothic, then Baron Revende for the Four Horsemen, Patchwork, Grobolus, Gluth, Thaddeus, Sapphiron, and Kel'Thuzad. So Blizzard would already have a lot of assets in order to bring Naxxramas to Mercenaries if they chose to do that. And with Naxxramas teasers for constructed format, then this would be my top candidate for the next Mercenaries bounties, and hopefully a new zone. And in the same vein, I would imagine that they want to save resources whenever possible when it comes to Mercenaries. So when we get new Mercenaries, it would make sense to make Mercenaries out of cards that already have been in Hearthstone, so that they would already have multiple assets for those heroes. So what sort of heroes have they had available that would fit into this team? By far my biggest favorite would be Tazarian. Tazarian is just a wonderful Death Knight character who is very present in World of Warcraft. You do a bunch of stuff with Tazarian if you're on the Alliance side. And Tazarian, incidentally, Tazarian already is a card in Constructed, so that would be sweet. Then there's the matter of Icecrown Citadel. I think they would probably be more inclined to do Naxxramas than Icecrown Citadel as an area. Okay, if they plan to do two, then they might go for Icecrown Citadel later, but they could also just like do Naxxramas and then whatever's going to be the next team or something. So if they don't do Icecrown Citadel as a zone, then they could do some of the Icecrown Citadel characters maybe as Mercenaries. So for example, for dragons we could have Sindragosa as a Frost Dragon. Then, well, Lady Death Whisperer is an Icecrown Citadel boss. That's already a card that really maligns everything that Lady Death Whisperer, the boss fight, is about. So there's really very little connection. But either way, some of the assets already exist in Hearthstone. Other similarly themed cards that have arrived into Hearthstone with much of the Lich King include Deathbringer Saurfang. Why was Saurfang renamed into Varrock Saurfang anyway? I mean, Deathbringer Saurfang is Varrock's son. So, yeah, see, that could make sense. They renamed the original Saurfang, gave his first name also, so that they can bring another Saurfang. I mean, that totally makes sense to me. Then Alexander's Mograine, well, obviously one of the Four Horsemen, so it could be a boss fight. Patchwork is a boss fight. Well, but you never know. I mean, we have Rattlegore as a mercenary, and Rattlegore is a boss in Scholomance. So we could have Patchwork, Rattlegore and Patchwork. What a fun mercenary duo that would make. Other cards with similar themes include Lord Marrowgar. Lord Marrowgar is an Icecrown Citadel boss. Well, maybe, I mean, we have Rattlegore. Again, the same argument applies. Then Anub'aran recently has become a playable card, but Anub'aran obviously is also a Naxxramas boss, so the difference between a boss or a mercenary can be a little bit vague when it comes to Mercenaries. Hadronox, potential beast. I mean, it's also a boss fight, but still. Or what about something like Professor Putricide? Kel'Thuzad probably more of a boss than a character, but who knows, you could also go either way. There are also multiple Kel'Thuzad arts already existing, so that would kind of make sense to include as a mercenary, because then you already have art assets for multiple portraits. And the same also goes for Bolvar. There's a couple of Bolvar graphics already existing. Bolvar and Tyrion teaming up for a holy squad, that would be so sweet. On the subject of those ugly monster heroes, well, Rotface, Anub'aran, There's many of these Hearthstone cards, but one of my favorites, one that I would really love to see as a Merc. Thessarian is one, Lillian Voss is another. Lillian Voss is just super iconic character from World of Warcraft, resurrected into undeath against her will, then having free will and first loading herself and then loading the necromancers who resurrect the undead against their will, and then going on and hunting necromancers one expansion after another in World of Warcraft. Lillian Voss is a star, and that would be such a sweet mercenary. More Icecrown Citadel bosses, maybe not suitable as mercenaries as such, but could be really sweet boss fights, although I think we might get that Naxxramas first, so maybe we don't get the Icecrown Citadel. But Blood Queen Lanatel and then the Blood Prince Council, Prince Keleseth, Prince Taldaram, Prince Valenar. I mean, just imagine a mercenary bounty boss fight with Keleseth, Taldaram, Valenar. That would be so awesome. It would be really sweet. And looking at some of the other things going on in Icecrown, you also fight the Twin Valkyr there, so Aedis Darkbane, Fiola Lightbane. I mean, they would make for so awesome mercenaries. They could even have some synergistic abilities. We don't really have that like specific duos in Mercs, but Aedis and Fiola would make for such a sweet one. I would really love to be playing with those. And also, demons could always use a little bit of a hand, and what would be better than Mal'Ganis? He's a turtle. And Mal'Ganis the god, your other demons have +2/+2, your hero is immune. There would be so many demon synergies with Mal'Ganis. That would be a lovely card to see, and very thematic because Mal'Ganis played a pretty big role in Northrend. Another dynamic duo that would really make sense as mercenaries would be Fugen and Stalag, although I assume that we would meet them as a boss encounter, and that would also be great, because Fugen and Stalag, when both of them die, then you summon Thaddeus. That would be also like a really sweet idea for a bounty and boss encounter. There's already so much stuff in Hearthstone that's just begging to be turned into mercenaries bounties. Also Lotheb, yeah, just beautiful. There are just so many of these cards. Mike's obviously is a boss fight in Naxxramas, probably going for that unless it's a beast mercenary. Then Black Knight is from Trial of the Champion. I don't think we're going to get Trial of the Champion as bounties. It wasn't very successful in World of Warcraft either, but I mean Black Knight could be a mercenary. Also Chilmo, another potential like Frost Synergy Dragon. What if we got them both, Chilmo and Syndragosa? Oh boy, that would be so awesome. There is so much stuff that they can pull from for Mercs. It's just, the width of the lore is quite immense. And finally, now that they have broken the barrier with Arthas, maybe Lich King stock, maybe not, coming to the game, how about Invincible and a Battlegrounds hero? There is a Battlegrounds hero that is very thematic for Northrend, for Icecrown, for Naxxramas, and that is Mr. Bigglesworth. Mr. Bigglesworth is Kel'Thuzad's cat. I mean, we need that as a mercenary, right? We just need Mr. Bigglesworth as a mercenary. Mr. Bigglesworth and Arthas going together to kill Yogg-Saron. That's content. That's what I want to see. That is what I want from life, really. That's just it. There are also some characters who don't yet have a Hearthstone card that would make also sense, like Darian Mograine, for example, but my top favorite here would have to be Kul Tiras Deathweaver. Kul Tiras Deathweaver is the Horde equivalent to Thessarian, very thematic, very iconic Death Knight. Also, Kul Tiras Deathweaver was in the World of Warcraft trading card game, so they already have card art for Kul Tiras. So, Thessarian, Kul Tiras Deathweaver, Lillian Voss, Mr. Bigglesworth. That would be my top 4 mercenaries that I would love to see in the next patch. They would be very thematically suitable, and that would just be awesome. Oh, and one more thing. What about if we got some new portraits? If we're going to venture into Northrend, we're going to venture into these undead teams. They have Knights of the Frozen Throne hero portraits. Give us Deathstalker Rexa portrait in Mercs. Give us Frostlich Jaina for Jaina in Mercenaries. Give us possibility Shadow Reaper Anduin portrait for Anduin in Mercs. That would be so sweet. I mean, there is so much Blizzard could do with Mercs. And this is like just looking at the teams that they've been working on lately with Hearthstone, applying that to, hey, what do we already have that's almost ready, that would be so easy to use, to reuse in Mercenaries, and boom, there's already all this stuff. So yeah, I really look forward to the next announcement. Of course, I'm afraid because we have had such a content drought. I'm also hopeful. Fear and hope, those are the emotions. We'll see how it goes, but there's so much potential here. Thank you for watching. Click like and subscribe if you enjoyed this, and a special thanks to all of my Patreon supporters, YouTube members and Twitch subscribers who make all of these videos possible.